It's all about peace, spreading love in the world. So I gotta represent rebels for joy, positivity. You know that we're all about it. Magic happens when you align your purpose, passion, and power. Just believe in your greatness. I know for sure the light that you radiate too strong to ignore. Emotional revolution. It's time that we start. Love, we need more. We are rebels for joy. Woo!
Hey, Rebel Sister, welcome back to another episode of Rebels for Joy. I'm one of your rebellion leaders, Bonnie Kelly, here with my soul sister. Hey, Jillian.
Hey, girl, how are ya?
I am thrilled to be back on the mic with you because you know how much I love jamming out with you.
This is so fun. I mean, I know that we bring so many beautiful soul sisters into our space with us. That was the intention when we created this podcast. I love doing our interviews, but I just love doing these episodes with you.
Do
It's
too.
like cozying up with your bestie and just jamming on whatever feels good. And today, what feels good is finishing the conversation that we started about the moon cycle. Today, we're going to go over the final 4 phases of the 8-phase moon cycle that we kicked off in the previous episode.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard that already, you might want to pause and go back to the other episode, which is the part 1 of the moon cycle, to really get an understanding of where we're going with this and how you can start to apply it to become more intuitive and more in flow in your personal life as well. But Jillian, before we get into that, I had to research a moon joke for you.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Bring it. I would expect nothing less, my friend.
Yes, because I was like, all right, well, we got to have part of this theme here, right? So how does a moon cut his hair?
Oh, I don't know. How does a moon cut his hair?
He eclipses it.
Oh
dun, dun.
Every moon lover just died. It was so good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie Kelly. Thank you very much.
So the part that I want to recap in this really quick is mostly to understand that there is an ebb and a flow, an introverted and extroverted kind of season to each phase of this moon. And it kind of goes in that cyclical order. I can't say that right. It goes in that order, right? Where
Yes.
it's more outward, inward, outward, inward. And so now we're going to dive into another very, very well-known, very well-practiced, very intuitive state, which is the full moon, right? This is probably one of the more popular ones, as you say, that people really recognize. So let's dive right into it and let's talk about this full moon and why is it so big of a topic and why does everybody like it so much?
Well, first of all, the full moon brings with it a ton of energy. And the way I like to really, the first thing I usually like to say about the full moon is that when the moon is the biggest and the brightest in the sky, everything is illuminated. And that's not only true for the terrain out on Mama Earth, but also the terrain within each and every single one of us. So as we're talking energy, remember, we can use the metaphor of what we actually see with our eyes in our physical world as a key indicator of what's going on internally within us. So the full moon is, again, another outward action time period of the moon cycle. This is another waxing time of the moon cycle. It's asking us to take action, and the action it's asking us to take is that of release. So when the moon is big and bright in the sky, you can see everything. Everything is illuminated. The shadows that once were are no longer there. They're filled with light. Same thing is happening within us. So if you've got any dark demons that like to hang out in the shadows and only pop their head out occasionally, they can't hide right now. So it's a beautiful time of the month to look at everything that's going on within you that no longer serves you and release it.
Yeah.
And I mean, such joy comes with release and such freedom comes with release. And then on the other side of that release too, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I think about the full moon and I think about that beautiful cascading light coming down, I think about back in the day when sisterhood would get together and they would dance in the moonlight, right? They would dance out of connectivity, out of finally being seen in the wholeness of who we truly are, out of celebration for all the work that we've done, all that we have gone through, all that we'll continue to learn and grow through. So the full moon is so potent because the energy behind it really gives us the opportunity to celebrate all that is that we love so much and that we've worked so hard on, both the outer work and the inner work, as well as gives us the opportunity to release that which doesn't serve us anymore.
Yeah. You guys, I mean, this is that season where we take those insecurities of not being good enough, not being lovable, that we don't matter, that we're not smart enough. And this is truly that space where you're just saying, okay, I'm going to shred it, burn it, bury it. Like, this is the time to just say, like, peace out. You don't serve me. I no longer want to buy into this anymore. And it's really that commitment to surrender it is where that process starts. It might
Yes.
not be the end all be all, because those beliefs, if they're deeply ingrained in our belief system, that they've been around for decades, they don't just magically disappear. But that continuously commitment. So every full moon, that commitment every month to saying that I am releasing this belief, I'm releasing this pattern, I'm releasing this identity that no longer serves me, is a powerful practice to continuously recommit to living and being a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
So why not use the full moon to say, like, ooh, look how bright it is in the sky. It is my chance to say that I am enough and celebrate and rejoice in your enoughness.
That's beautifully said, perfectly said. And bringing it all the way back to the new moon when we set intentions, the full moon is the time for us to look back and say, okay, I set those intentions. It was only 2 weeks ago, but I've learned and I've grown so much since that time. Were those intentions that I set then, are they still a part of where I want to go? Are they still pertinent to me now? And it's being brave enough to release the parts that really they made sense back then, but they just don't fit anymore. And then also being brave enough to stand for the parts that, yeah, that really does still fit. I want to continue down that path. And the full moon is illuminating that path for us.
Yay. Love it. Love it. Okay. So let's go to the next one. This is going to be, again, more introverted. What is it? Descending moon.
Disseminating moon.
Disseminating.
Almost. You were so close. And this is the time period. This is the time period of the month, Bonnie, that you're like, so I know that you're about to go into your little hole. Like, you say that to me all the time. Which is so good. And I just love and I honor how much you know me. And it's amazing. So this is, yes, an inward time of the moon cycle. And I have been practicing with the moon cycle for over 2 years now. And what I started to do was just simply track how I was feeling on a day-to-day basis and just witness where the moon was in the sky. I was not trying to put pressure on myself. I wasn't trying to fit into these boxes of, okay, this is first quarter moon, so I need to be in this energy.
Yeah.
I was just witnessing, how does my human experience tap in and align with the moon? And so what I actually discovered was that the disseminating moon is a time period for me where I feel all the feels. It is where I feel the most tender. And it's the time period that I need to really make sure to nurture myself.
Yeah.
And that's true for this part of the cycle. The disseminating moon period is the time for deep nourishment and deep nurturing on a mind, body, and soul level. So think about it. We just released a lot of stuff with the full moon, right? We got really raw. We got really honest with ourselves about looking at some stuff that we normally don't have to look at, but the moon illuminated it all for us. And we released, we celebrated, we declared, we danced, and now we're friggin' tired, right? Like, that's what comes after that particular energy of the moon. So the disseminating moon asks for us to go inward, get quiet, and just recharge. Yes, you're going to continue taking action on those intentions that you set and now have even more clarity about with the full moon, but you don't have to do it yet. In fact, the old saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. This is the true time period of the moon cycle to refill your cup. Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
And know that you are okay. You're exactly where you need to be. And in terms of joy, oh my gosh, how good does it feel when you finally allow yourself to fill yourself back up after putting out all sorts of really amazing work or connection or whatever it is. Refilling and just giving yourself the time and the space and the Netflix, if that's what it requires to do that, is really, really powerful.
Yeah, it requires a lot of compassion for yourself. And this is that phase in the moon where both Jillian and I, she says, like, I realize that she's going into a darker, like, safe space than I am. Like, for me, I'm going to hide behind technology, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is where it's like, okay, I'm just going to do email copy. I'm going to do web copy. I'm going to do, funnel opt-ins, things like that are like where I don't have to be seen, but I'm still being productive. But I also don't work as long as I normally would. So I only spend a few hours versus spending a day working on something, and just honoring myself in that space. And for Jillian, she really wants to refill her cup and maybe just want to go be mama bear and not really work on anything. And that's okay for her too, right?
Yeah.
So it's recognizing for yourself, like when you get into this different season, what do you need to allow yourself space to breathe and have compassion for yourself, knowing that just that alone, even if you're not working on anything, is exactly what you need. And sometimes doing nothing is a heck of a lot better than doing something.
Yeah, and forcing through it. And I love that you brought up that point. When you recognize how you feel at different parts of the moon cycle, you can literally start to schedule out your life to support that, right? So I do not book many, if any, coaching calls during the disseminating moon phase. I literally will look at my calendar and I will block out times where people aren't able to schedule in, because that requires a lot of output. And same thing for you, Bonnie. You're still going to show up. You're still going to do work, but you would rather do kind of the techie stuff. You don't have to talk to anybody during that time period, right? So it's amazing, because that allows for us to be better coaches during the times that we are feeling more connected and able to better serve people, to put them during the time periods of the moon cycle where we want to be talking, we want to be connecting, we want to be loving. So whether you're working, whether you're momming, right? Like I would say, do not plan any play dates during the disseminating moon period. Like, this is the time to snuggle up with Elsa and Anna and just like be with the babies, right? Like, no play dates during this time period, no dinner parties, no cocktail hours. This is the time to go inward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the next phase, again, is going to be an outward. And this is where we're on the 3/4 of a moon. And this is a fun, I think, is a really fun, different part, because we're moving into the last phase, which then starts all over again. So Jillian, let's break down the 3/4 or the 3/4 of a moon.
Yeah, the third quarter moon is such a cool time period because two things are happening. One, you're finally starting to take even more intentional action, because the full moon illuminated for us what no longer serves us and really illuminated where we want to go. So the third quarter moon has that feel of like, okay, we get to take action again. We get to move again, and with even more clear direction. But also, we're beginning to really receive during the third quarter moon too, because don't forget, you put in a lot of work, both internally and externally, at the beginning of the moon cycle. And so that work is now manifesting. It is the energy of exchange is happening, the give and the receive. So you are outputting, yes, in this doing phase, but you're also starting to see that the seed that you planted in the new moon, the corn's coming. Like, you can finally, you now can see that little seedling has turned into something. It's this is the harvest time. So think about actually during fall, during harvest time, the farmers are still actively planting. They're still actively doing things, because during that time of the season, things will still grow. They will grow differently than that which was planted in spring. So, but things are still happening. So they're still doing active work to continue to bring things to fruition. However, they're also starting to harvest. They're starting to reap the benefits of what they did at the beginning of the moon cycle. So third quarter moon is kind of like that feel good time where it's like, oh, I get rewarded for the stuff that I do, both the being and the doing. It makes me want to do even more. It makes me want to give the very best of me on a continual basis. So third quarter moon is asking you to continue showing up, continue giving the best of you, but also allowing yourself to receive based on the work that you've already put in.
And what a beautiful thing that we are receiving and giving to ourselves in this phase, because we often, especially mama bears that are out there, we are such givers. And
Yes.
it is important on that other side of this is to be open to receiving and to feeling that joy for the action that you're taking, because we begin to see the fruits of your labor, and we can begin to see, these things that are starting to pay out or pay off, or even just like watching our children, shine in this different season, because you were able to give them such just the best parts of yourself as you were going introverted and extroverted in that season with them as well. And what's fun is like this one leads perfectly into the last, which is the Balsamic Moon, which is all about celebration. So let's get into that, Jillian.
Yeah, the Balsamic Moon is my favorite time of the moon cycle. And it's a time that I once didn't even ever consider having a part of my life. And most people don't, because this is the time of deep reflection, of celebration, of looking back and just being so proud of everything that you felt, everything that you did. The Balsamic Moon, for me, is kind of like, so keeping up with the farmer analogy that we've been giving throughout these past 2 episodes. This is the time of the farmer sitting on the porch swing, looking out over the land. The sun has been hot in the sky, and now it's starting to set, with a cool drink in her hand, just knowing that, wow, she did a great job. She did a great job with her outward action, yes, but she did a great job of being her, of standing for her, of having that self-compassion that we've talked about, right? The Balsamic Moon is about looking over the harvest and being like, oh my gosh, like it was such celebration. Like, look at all of those dreams that I planted. Look how they've come true. Some of those dreams have really truly come true. Let's celebrate that. And also, let's reflect on all that we've learned throughout this moon cycle. And of course, we know that after this Balsamic Moon, guess what's coming?
A
The
new
next
moon.
new moon. Yes. So in the Balsamic Moon, you kind of have this, I picture like just that wise woman, that wisest version of us. She celebrates, she reflects, she looks back and she just witnesses and loves all that she's learned. She knows that a new cycle is coming. She knows that her wisdom will take her through the next cycle with even more depth and appreciation and knowledge and momentum. But she's not there yet. She doesn't have to do anything yet. She can sip on her drink a little bit longer, trusting that, yes, the new moon is coming. But for now, I get to be. I get to receive, I get to celebrate, I get to be grateful for all that I've gone through. And I just get to appreciate the fullness of the cyclicality in this moment, because it's the end of the cycle. It's the coming to totality. It's that coming to wholeness. And gosh, what better way to live is there than to appreciate when we have allowed ourselves to come full cycle in some area, and we get to appreciate and celebrate that within us.
And I think, like you said, just like you avoided it, we all do, right? Because we were taught that by celebrating our own victories or praising ourselves would be selfish, or it's bad, or, we were being arrogant. And no, it isn't. We have to break that status quo. We have to break that mentality and recognize that by celebrating is like we are raising our energy vibration and saying, yes, universe, more please, more please.
Yes.
And so we want to celebrate closing deals. We want to celebrate having abundance. We want to celebrate having clear communication with our children. We want to celebrate when they eat their freaking vegetables, y'all. Like,
it may take several moon cycles, but it will happen.
Like it is just like mom win. Like this is where we want to celebrate, and you want to surround yourself with other sisters who are going to celebrate with you.
Yes.
That understands that there are times where you need to go inwards and honor that. Not just, there's just too much of this dogma that's out there that you have to just go, go, go. You need to be productive all the time, and you need to have strong self-discipline. And it's like, whoa, okay, maybe for some people, and maybe there's some of us that could use a little more strengthening around our self-discipline, but in general, women need, I need space to have creativity. And honestly, men need it too.
Oh yes, a million
100%.
percent.
My
Yeah.
husband, I mean, when he gets so wound up, I tell him, I'm like, babe, you need to take the day off. I can't take the day off. And I'm like, babe, you need to take the day off. I can't take it. And I'm like, babe, what do you need to do today to recharge your batteries? And he's like, I do. And I'm like, okay, just go into the woods, get outside, and then let's see what you can come up with for tomorrow. And I'm not even kidding. He comes home, he's got 50 different new strategies
Of course.
on how to honor himself. And I'm like, isn't it amazing what space is, what doing nothing can do for you?
Yes. And that's, I mean, that's where all the ideas are born. And that's what we're all craving. And so instead of, skipping over that celebration because of the fear that there's not enough time and there's not enough resources and I have to start the next thing. No, let's be with it. Let's reflect back. Let's actually embody the lessons that we learned so that we can do things smarter and easier and with more fun and conviction next time. And let's just pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. And to your point, Bonnie, women are meant to be together in circle. We've been taught and trained that we need to put our head down and we need to go, go, go. But hopefully this conversation about the moon cycle is starting to reveal for you a different way of living, a different way of being. And we actually we do our very best and we crave connection. I always say, how many times have you heard me say this? When women come together in circle, magic happens because we're able to see each other and witness each other and celebrate each other and hold each other in ways that we just would never experience if we thought we had to go through life alone. And in terms of the moon, I talk about the red tent all the time. Back in the day, we're going to get all cyclical on you for a second. When women had their periods, they would get it at the new moon all together at the same time. They would put up a tent and they would all together in sisterhood with that connective hand in hand feel go into the tent. They would bleed together. They would release. They would share stories. They would connect. They would cry their tears together. They would laugh together. This was sacred time and it was sacred space. And it all happened around the new moon, right? Planting the seeds, letting go of what was brewing and happening within them, planting the seeds for the next phase of the cycle. And so it's the greatest joy for me and for you. Look at us. We've come together in sisterhood just with our partnership, but we have been able to really cultivate a couple different deeply connected communities. And it's just my greatest joy because this is what we all wanted in the first place.
It is. It is. And this is why you and I, Jillian, we love doing live events, is because it gives us an opportunity for us all to be able to collectively come together. So Jillian and I have many live events. We can't wait. We've postponed them to 2021, in honor of the coronavirus, but we already have our date set. We've got a huge auditorium. We're so excited for April 9th and 10th of 2021, where we're going to do the Rebels Dream Bigger event. And it's just going to be such a sacred space for all of us to be able to come together. You guys can learn more about that over on rebelsforjoy.com. And if you want to learn more about the moon cycle and maybe do some releasing exercises, meditation, to really do some celebrations together as well, join us over in the Rebels for Joy Facebook group, where you will find links to our Moon Cycle Collective. There's an amazing program for you to join there. There's an amazing Facebook group that you'd be able to find there as well. So we invite you to join us over there. Any last words on the moon, Jillian, before we wrap up this two-parter?
I would just say, trust yourself. The moon asks us to open up our intuition and to live our life differently and to learn more about ourselves. And so I just want to circle back to the Moon Cycle Collective really quick, Bonnie. We've created something really special over there where we have meditations and ritual that we are offering up our soul moon sisters that are in that group. We also have a vault that is constantly being added to with trainings and opportunities for you to learn more about the moon and how you personally sync up to it, and then coaching opportunities as well. And so I would say trust your intuition. If you are feeling inspired by these conversations about the moon, as I once was, just a few years ago, and now look at me right now, I'm talking about it now, I'm oozing moon energy. Come on over and join that sisterhood space. We've got an incredible opportunities for you over there to be seen and to be supported and to learn learn mentally, but also tap into and remember spiritually what we have available to us all the time with the moon cycle. So I've loved this. Bonnie, thank you so much for like facilitating the conversation and letting me just like ooze my nerdery with the moon. I'm just so grateful. So to all of you, thank you for listening. And as always, find us on social media, take a screenshot of this podcast and tag us and tell us what phase of the moon you're listening to this in right now and how you're feeling. And then we can support you through that.
Absolutely. So you guys can find us everything Rebels for Joy. I'm Bonnie Kelly and Jillian Bolans. You can find us on Instagram is our favorite place to hang out, but we're also over at Facebook with our Facebook group Rebels for Joy, and everything is rebelsforjoy.com. So you can find everything there.
It sure is.
You're like, I need one place to find all those links. Well, they are down below, but if you really do want to go someplace to like see it all and really get a good feel about us and the sisterhood that we're creating, and really think about considering becoming an ambassador of joy yourself, then you want to join us over there, because we've got so many amazing things that we're doing into changing the world and helping more women like you align their purpose, passion, and power. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with a sister, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the flip.
Bye, friends.